Alright, hi there, I'm Delable, and today we're back with a game I played against bravenoob. Unlike my earlier games, this game is actually recorded, and I'm gonna give feedback on it afterwards. See what I did wrong, uh, maybe point out what he did wrong, um, and comment on my strategy. What's new is that there's picking involved, so each player has to pick 9 ships to go to battle with. It's not a like standard formation that you have, but you can pick whatever you want. There's a max of 2 ships of each type, so it's not like you can pick 9 ships that are the same. Let's run the video and see how it goes. So he starts with a salvation, and I'll start with a salvation as well. Use Thunderbird. They changed the Thunderbird in this since I last played, so it now only costs 1 HP to 1 fuel to move, but also 1 fuel to attack, which is less than the 3 that it was. So they're actually quite good now at chasing ships down that are trying to flee with low HP. So that's what we're going to be using it for. He also takes a Thunderbird. Let's try to speed it along a little bit. He uses Ubiquity and a Colossus. Colossus also got buffed, so it has 150 HP. Does 20 damage instead of 15 before, but it also takes 3 fuel to move, which makes it slow and easy to ambush, but it's still a tank, so ideally you want to get your Night Stalker in there and try to level up the attack of the Night Stalker using the Colossus to sponge the damage. If we look at my formation, I'm gonna be using a symmetrical formation with the Thunderbirds on each side, then Gunship, Night Stalker, and use Vampship close to my Salvation. I put my Vampships next to my Salvation because they take HP to move, so you want to get them close to the healer in case they need a healing, because if they're low on health, they're low on movement as well, and they're easy pickings. But what they do add, because they move on their own HP, is that you're not restricted by fuel. So we're gonna see later in this game how that plays out if the opponent doesn't have them anymore. So bravenoob starts. I'm gonna pause it right here, because I think he made the first mistake here, and also points out why I use my Vamp ships close, or let them start close to my Salvation. His Vamp ship started here and moved all the way across here. So at 7 HP per movement, he lost 28 HP just by moving to this side. If he would have instead just started it here, he doesn't lose it. He loses 7 HP and heals it with his Salvation. But now he leaves it vulnerable right from the start. And maybe I should have just attacked here and killed it, but I don't think I'm gonna do that just yet. So if you move further, this is basically my standard opening. Move fem ships up, move ships up, and make sure I stay around 10 fuel left each turn, so I get the max fuel for the next turn. As you can see, his fem ship's still not fully healed, and has already cost him 4 fuel just by healing. Let's see what he does. He also stays at 10 to preserve fuel, I suppose. I'm gonna be moving up the rest of my squad as well. Because he doesn't use what do you call it? Orca craft. I can basically stay in formation. Um, it's different when you use Orca-Craft because you have to leave gaps in your formation to make sure that if he attacks with an Orca-Craft, not every ship get hit. Um, he's moving up his Colossus as well, which I think is a mistake. If I were to use a Colossus, and I'm not, because it's immobile, I would probably use it as a gatekeeper around my uh, salvation and base, because it can stay there, but it's not very mobile, so you want to make sure to defend it. Um, he's moving up as well, but um, let's see what he does here. Actually, oh yeah, he's moving up his ubiquity here, and he's going for my Thunderbird. But because he's low on fuel right now, that makes him vulnerable. Because next turn he's only gonna have 8 fuel. Um, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna attack with a Thunderbird and then use my gunship to block the Thunderbird from another attack. Uh, like this way, he can only attack with his Thunderbird, but that's gonna cost him 5 fuel just to attack and no way to run. So we're basically trading in that scenario. Uh, but if he doesn't do it, I'll just take his ubiquity because it can't really run. It can go sideways here, and then it's easy pickings for my Thunderbird. So what he does, he attacks here. I probably would have done the same because it's basically a lost. It's basically a loss, so you might as well get some good damage out of it. I wouldn't have run. Uh, and I think here he also, well, it's not really a mistake because he can move back. Uh, but if he doesn't heal here, it's definitely a mistake because I'll trade my gunship against his fam ship any time of the day. Because if he loses his only fam ship, uh, there's no way for him to move outside of his fuel. Um, but it's gonna be demonstrated later just how much of a difference that is in the end game. So he takes my gunship. That's perfectly fine. Um, I'm if he ends his turn, I'm gonna. I takes my Thunderbird as well. But I'm still liking my position. We basically traded some ships, and I'm gonna take his ubiquity next turn. There's no evading that for him. And this is the point where he gets 5 HP every 5 fuel every turn, and it's basically a move and an attack by a normal ship, uh, or 4 turns and a move and 4 moves and an attack with his Thunderbird. But he can't coordinate it anymore because he's gonna run out of fuel. So I'm just gonna try to terrorize him here. If my Thunderbird attacks his gunship and then runs away, I'm just trying to force him to spend fuel getting it to heal. He's gonna have to run 3 tiles towards the salvation, or or actually 4 if he moves this away or goes around it. Doesn't make much difference. I'm gonna speed this
bit long. Shall I? Yeah, it's probably just enter and get more fuel phase. He's gonna try to heal here. He's healing. And what I'm doing right here is I'm building up my Night Stalker, because every attack I do adds 8 to my attack. So it went from 15 to 21, 15 to 23, uh, and basically uh, it keeps stacking. So you could end up with like 100 attack if you do it right. I think what he does here is really smart. I probably should have waited a bit longer until I had more fuel. But what I'm gonna see here is, because I'm gonna get my Vamp ship involved, I'm gonna sacrifice my Night Stalker because there's no running away from the ships. I can't destroy them both. So I'm gonna take his Thunderbird out. That's where he loses his last mobility. And now I'm gonna get my Vamp ships involved. Um, or at least one of them. So end turn. He has to finish off my Night Stalker here, I think. Uh, but it forces him also closer to me, because he's further away from assistance, and he also used more fuel. So I attack him now for 15 HP, and what also is nice about the fam ship is it, as it attacks, it heals HP as well. So I get 15 HP back from it. That's how it stays afloat, not just from healing but also attacking. So it's now two vamp ships against his, but we sucked the life out of him. So, and while this is also ongoing, if you have two vamp ships attacking, is you're not really using any fuel extra. So I'm gonna be saving fuel that I can use for the rest of my ships, and he doesn't have that advantage. Uh, and I think he's already in a losing position, because he loses one battle star here. Uh, and, he, and now it's 2v1, where we can use him to just basically suck him dry. So he's running away here. It's probably the smart move, but what it also means is that he's gonna be able to bring my ships closer to his without the use of my healer, because we're using him for fuel. Uh, and as you can see, his Colossus is here, which is not mobile. So he's in a really tricky spot, which I don't think is winnable unless I make a lot of mistakes, which, to be honest, I could make. What he does here is pretty smart, uh, but I'm gonna try to stay away from the rest of his fleet. I want to keep the distance so he doesn't have the fuel to attack with two ships at once. Uh, and if you do that, you're pretty good against like 2v1, especially when you have extra HP after each turn. So we arrive at the base. We're gonna be destroying the battle star, and what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna get my Thunderbird involved. just to get some extra damage on the base, and also to serve as a sponge for attacks against my fam ships because I value them more. And he doesn't have like the possibility to attack twice again, and all my ships cannot easily outrun him if they have to. So we're gonna try to pick them off one by one. And the only ship that's really dangerous for me now is his Night Stalker, because as I told earlier, if that builds up attack, uh, it's gonna be really dangerous for me to, because he's potentially building up to be a one-shot machine. So I'm gonna try to take his Night Stalker out, and I think I have the fuel to do it next turn. So his base is at 70, Night Stalker is almost dead. It's just grinding it down a little bit more. And he can still only attack with his Night Stalker, or he can heal his Night Stalker and move. But that's all the moves he has right now in this turn, because he only has 5 fuel, like he has been for the last couple of turns. And you can see here again, I get 3 attacks for 2 fuel and some HP, which I take back again. And he's limited. My gunship can now take out his Night Stalker. And if it wasn't already over, actually, not yet, but my fan ship will finish it up here. I don't think it was necessary, but so this is the first time he has fuel, but it's now 4 against 2, and they don't pack the punch. Well, he does pack the punch actually at this point, so but yeah, he surrenders. So yeah, basically what this game showed is the importance of like mobility, to keep mobility, and what kind of effect a vamp ship has on like fuel consumption, uh, like and attack possibilities. Fuel is really limiting, especially uh, in late game when you've got distances to close, uh, and if you can use your enemy ships as fuel to move forward while killing them, it's a really powerful weapon.